Hello.
Don't you let the dog settle first.
Oh, he's so cute.
Dino.
We found out he's like our spirit guide.
He is our spirit guide. But yeah, welcome to our home.
Thank you for having
And
me.
it's nice to be able to chat with you since meeting you, nearly, it'll be like 2 months now?
Yeah.
About 2 months.
Yeah, about 2 months ago now.
And wow, what a whirlwind a 2-month journey has been.
Crazy journey.
It's been mad. I've seen you go from strength to strength to strength whilst dipping and dipping.
Lots
Many
of
dips.
Many dips. But it has, I did say this at the beginning, didn't I? I was like, it is a whirlwind of a roller coaster, this journey.
Onions.
And it's
Layers.
Layers after layer. And you think one layer is period, like, oh, I'm free. Whoa, there's another layer. But when you choose to do this journey, when you choose to go into self-discovery and you choose to remove these layers that are holding you back from living your life to its fullest potential, it takes work, and it's not going to be an easy ride, but the ride will be worth it in the end.
Yeah.
And I've always said that. And are you surprised like how quick and accelerated this journey has been for you? Like what you've gained in 2 months compared to like 2 years or 5 years. Like, can you, explain a little bit about...
I don't feel like I knew what to expect when I stepped onto this program at all. Like I obviously joined one of your workshops and obviously had a very big breakthrough with regards to the breath work, and I felt a big sense of release at the time, and I kind of stumbled upon you guys at a time when I felt I really needed it. And I know I've spoke to you guys about this before, but I've kind of been on my own journey for the past 4 years, and I've worked with therapists and coaches, and it's got me so far.
Yeah.
But there was some place that I kept just coming back to, and it was where the cycle of internally how I felt within myself would just come to surface again. So I'd be on this trajectory and I'd feel really, really good, and I'd be doing really good, and then boom, I'd go dip. But every time I took the dip, I felt it a lot stronger. So for me, when I entered onto this journey, I was just willing to surrender. I was just so willing for the change. I so wanted the change to come, and I just felt like a lot of where my pain came from and a lot of what I've held on to for 25 years. So it was a long time, and I didn't have any expectations, but the speed in which I uncovered all of these layers and kind of transitioned into these new elements and levels, and each week I uncovered something new, and I was like, wow, that was big. And then I'd have a few days where I'd dip, and it's exhausting, and sometimes it's quite hard work, but you have to know that kind of the juice is worth the squeeze type of thing. Because essentially it's the more you push and the more you surrender and the more you just feel whatever it is that you're experiencing, the more you're going to release and then grow and kind of step into this new version of you. And that's what I wanted to do. So I just continued to push. But I feel like I couldn't have done that without the support of you and David. And we had some big moments where the mirror was very much held up against me.
Oh gosh, yes.
And I really, really had to look at myself.
Who held the mirror up the most?
I'd say David was the
that
one.
Was the biggest mirror,
breakthrough week, I call it, for me.
So what week was your breakthrough week?
Heart chakra week.
And I mean, I wasn't there, but I was.
No, you was
I was
there.
called in. I was called into this session.
I was like, shit, I need some assistance. I need a feminine touch in here right now. This shit's it's getting serious.
I think for me, a lot of the pain that I carried within myself was the pain caused from man. And that stemmed back to my dad and my childhood, and then it kind of transcended into every relationship I've ever had, which I now realise isn't on the man at all. It's a lot of what's reflected within myself, which is mental to learn and accept. But once you do, you see so clearly, which means now I know in the future when I step into newer relationships, I'm only going to mirror this new version of me that I am, which
100%.
But I feel like what was crazy about that moment, and when David kind of held that mirror up to me, is I had so much anger and resentment towards him for doing that. Because
and who's him?
David.
Okay.
So
he was the reflection of
every man
who's
ever harmed me.
Exactly.
And for David to put the mirror up and say, you have to look at yourself and you have to take some responsibility for what you've done. I sat there and was like, how dare you? None of this was on me. This was all caused by men. And now I had this man saying it to me. And I was like, that was really hard, because I was like, you're just, in my head, I'm like, you're just the same. Of course you're going to say this because you're a man. And all my pain was just reflected in that moment. And there was a big part of me that was ready to just run and quit and
I'm out.
you know, say some horrible words and, you know, just cut and run. And then there was something just deep within me that was like, stop running.
That moment you experienced, and this is why I feel like it's so beautiful for what we now can do for other people, because we've gone through this together as a couple. David did the same to me. And I just thought maybe that's just David holding that mirror up to me, because I had that moment you had, which was, I can't run away from this. He is mirroring something in me. There was just like this boom, staring right back at you is the pain that you've been holding on to, that you now can't run away from. And you've got to take accountability, responsibility, and own this. And actually, it's like receive it all, even though you don't want to receive it. You didn't want to receive the message David was giving you.
But at first, I
And
didn't
I
really
felt
understand.
exactly the same.
I didn't really understand the message. I just felt attacked. Because
Same.
I carried that pain and that resentment towards men, and nothing was ever going to change that.
He did this 4 days after we met. Can you imagine? And he's mirroring.
Done it to Mel as well. Shout out to Mel.
But can I just say, that's why it's blown me away, like how David and I both, because obviously I've done I can do things as well, which I've mirrored back at David, which I can also mirror back in other men. But that the fact that we've done this work, and how I just thought it was just a couple thing that couples can do with each other, but in the fact that we can do this for other people, it's blown my mind.
Yeah.
Because and now I know, like, oh wow, like he's freed me, but not only he's freed me, he's now freed, like on this program alone, 5 other women that have completely shifted, thanks to David holding that mirror up. But I know, like, only the ones that are ready for this experience this.
And do you know what's
not everyone's
so
ready,
beautiful?
but you were so ready.
Do you know what's so beautiful about that moment though? I'm so grateful that the person, I mean, I freed myself, right? I did the work, but the
100%.
person who freed myself and held that mirror up to me was a man.
Was man. So man hurt you, but man can also heal you. And how unbelievable is that?
And
that's
that changed my perspective,
on
men as a whole.
100%.
Because now I know that
It's
there
not
are
a
men
threat.
out there.
They're not threatening anyone.
Yeah.
No. No, but
yeah.
it's so mad because I
Breakthrough
through
week.
the exact same. I can't believe my deep hatred from men before I met David. Like I convinced myself I didn't have much. I was like you, like no, I've forgiven. Apart from my ex, like there was still a little bit like there, but I thought no, I used to hate men a lot more. But it was like there was still unconscious energy playing out that I was still projecting onto men, and I was keeping myself a distance away from men, like still shutting him out.
Because you believe they were the cause of your pain.
Which they were the cause of my pain, but they also, it's the accountability and it's the ownership of that part of yourself that actually allowed him to come in and face the pain he'd caused, because the pain is what disconnects you. So because you're disconnected by the pain from man, but instead of feeling it at the time or processing it at the time, we chose to separate ourselves and go, F that, I'm not getting involved in that. I'm going to do me, keep you at an arm's length, you ain't going to hurt me. And this wall comes up. So actually, when a man hurt me in my past, I never sat there and was like, ooh, like sobbing about it. I just went, boom, wall up.
Strong woman mentality.
Yeah, independent woman, I don't need a man. So I lived my whole life like that. But actually, you have to face the pain of what man done to you, because in that is the healing of it. And I just avoided healing it for so many years. It's the same as you.
Massively.
I avoided healing it. But it's like, that's why it's like to comprehend that to come back to a man who hurt you, to face that pain is the hardest thing. but you know you need to face it. And that's what's so freeing, is that your choice at that moment, that little choice in your head that went, you need to face this, and you just went.
It's what freed
and
me.
it freed you.
So like, as a man, obviously, like I have a deep understanding of where. See, this aspect of a woman is what like I've heard referred to as like the fiendess,
Yeah.
and it's within all women, and it's there to punish men. It's actually there to punish men, but it comes from like a deep unsafety that men have caused for women for like thousands of years. You know, we've made them less, we've sexualized them, we've abused them, we've downgraded women. So that part of a woman is there to actually reflect back the punishment that man's done to her. And like when we first got together, you was making me so conscious of the deep unsafety within me and what I'd done to you and my lack of accountability for my sexuality. So like I would say the first 2 years of our relationship, it was like before I could even hold that mirror up to another woman, I had to do that work on myself to take ownership of that I'd actually created that in women.
Yeah.
Maybe in this life as well, but I stand accountable for all men, like every man that's been before me. And so for me to be able to put a mirror up to a woman, I had to do the work on that part of myself.
Yeah.
Because once a man's done that work on himself, then he can put the mirror up and go, I might have hurt you, but you holding on to that hurt and continually punishing me when I'm in the moment of forgiving myself, that's where it's wrong. And that's why now, like, when I talk to women, I'm able to hold that mirror up because I've been accountable for what I've done to women.
Yeah.
Like in this life. So now I can hold that mirror up and go, well, hold on, because what you're holding on to, you're still punishing me, but I'm not worthy of that punishment anymore. And then it makes the woman conscious, and it's like, holy shit, this part of me has been exposed because I'm now with a conscious guy that's doing the work to change the dynamics in himself, so he can no longer
We can't blame anymore.
I can no longer be the blame of it because I've taken responsibility.
But then when we cry, like in that moment, when you brought the pain up in both of us, obviously me first and then whoever you've helped after, like you sob, right? You actually open up that vulnerability.
Do you know what
in that
it is?
pain. But in that, after, so you bring up that pain, you break our heart, because you broke my heart. And instead of me running away from it, right, and us running away from it, I faced the heartbreak that I felt already for man. In that vulnerability and us like actually crying the pain of what man's like broke us. Man has broken us. But for us to face that pain and take ownership of that pain allowed you to then see the pain you've caused women, so then you could feel your own guilt as well. And that's where
We have to
it's
work
accountability for our pain. Because every time I felt pain in an argument with David, or in any time that he's revealed man's pain onto me, I felt it in my heart and I felt it in fear. And it's always my heart. But every time I cry, it hits him in his solar plexus of anger and frustration and guilt within him. So it hits his stomach. So it's funny how my pain, and I can feel it when we talk about it, I can feel it in my heart. I don't know if you can feel energy in your heart right now, but and I know
can feel it in my solar
plexus. And it's so mad. It's like, wow. But the more we take accountability of our heartbreak as a woman and us to open up our hearts, because we're tired of punishing men for what they've done to us, just feel the pain of what a man has done to us.
Because what happens in
Just
holding
feel
on
it.
to that is you're punishing yourself.
Exactly.
In turn.
Punishing yourself and then punishing them, which makes you feel more guilty, which makes you feel more shamed.
And then every
continuation
relationship
of the
with
pain.
and then every relationship with man that follows from that is a reflection of the pain you carry.
Yeah.
So you're only going to attract in people who are never going to be able to save you, because you have to save yourself.
And take accountability. And that's where that accountability is key. Being accountable for your pain, taking ownership of the painful experiences you've had in your past, allows you to take full ownership and responsibility, which means then the other person, that's caused the pain, that's like projected the pain, that's like can then be with the responsibility of it. But if you're constantly projecting it back onto each other, you are going to be stuck in that cycle over and over again. Like,
and then you'll leave it and you'll be like, right, next person and then same cycle.
But and that is where I found myself.
Yeah, 100%.
And I honestly started to believe that I was unworthy of finding love, but it was because I couldn't find the love within myself, and it was because I was trapped. I built, like, what do we say, the Taj Mahal,
oh my God,
with all the bricks and all the walls, and it was just every time we'd open ourselves up slightly and welcome somebody in, they would be a reflection of what we held within ourselves. So they in turn would unintentionally hurt us, and then the cycle would repeat, because then we then see you're just like this person. For me, it was my dad, right? So
it always relates back to the
so
first love.
for me, it was my dad. Like, my dad left, he broke my heart, like in every other man. I carried that with me for so many years, that every other relationship from that point, I wanted them to save me and free me from the pain he'd caused. Nobody could give that to me bar me. And on the back of that call with David, obviously I picked up the phone the next day to my dad. I hadn't spoke to him for 7 years.
Within 24 hours.
Literally, it was less than that, because our call was quite late, wasn't it? And it was like 3 p.m. Picked up the phone, called him, and said
We
sorry.
sobbed
And
when you told us this.
and I said sorry, and I just apologised. I hadn't spoke to him for 7 years. I'd denied him a relationship with his granddaughter, all because of the pain that I was holding on to. And the second I realised that, and the second I realised I was responsible for carrying that with me, and actually that was nothing to do with him,
But you're also carrying that pain with you, hurting other people.
because I was hurting Maggie, right, my daughter.
Yeah.
So like I
And all
was
your exes since your dad.
100%.
The amount of people, you carry that pain, and that's the saying, hurt people, right? You don't get it until you really get it. You don't get it until you take responsibility of it.
I think you always think when you hear that saying, you're a bit like, oh, they're just a bit of a wrong-un and they've got loads of issues and they're putting their issues onto other people. That's not it at all. Like, the pain that we carry within ourselves, we attract and see in others. But we,
Until it's healed.
yeah, and essentially, like, I was looking into all of these people hoping they would save me. And because I seen what I seen in myself in them, I was like, well, I'm going to save you and you're going to save me, and this is what we're going to do. And when that wouldn't happen, my heart would break tenfold, like I was an 11-year-old kid again, crying over my dad. Like, I grieved every time. And this is what I mean by the cycle. I just found myself back in this place continuously. And I knew I'd been through so many avenues, and the only place I hadn't dealt was deep within myself. So that's when I knew that this was what I was meant to do, and I was meant to work with you guys to uncover that. But yeah, so now, like, I picked up the phone to my dad, I said sorry, and then he said the 2 words that I always believed he didn't have within him, which were, I always have loved you, and I'm sorry for any pain that I've caused. And that just like I freed myself, but in doing that, I freed him of the guilt that he carried
100%.
for so long.
Oh,
he sobbed and sobbed and sobbed. And now I speak to him every day, but I also feel really proud that I'm not teaching Maggie to hold on to that pain or that resentment either, because subconsciously I was doing that without realising. Like, I felt it was in her best interest as a
programmed into you.
protector.
It's
But
programmed
it
into
wasn't.
you.
I was just passing on this generational pain, right? And now I'm breaking that cycle.
Yeah.
And this is why I speak so passionately about, like, this program and what it does, and how much it can help people, and, you know, how much it can help women who find themselves in these repeated cycles with men, or with themselves. And I just, that week was like transformational for me.
Everyone
then-
has
and then it kept going.
I know. That's what I mean. You come for that was like the reason you came. Like, you knew, like, heartbreak was your reason you wanted to free yourself, right?
I'd done a lot of work, so
Yeah.
I had an understanding that my pain was
I knew
related
heart
to
chakra
my
week
dad.
I knew heart chakra week was everything for you. Like, I knew it.
Yeah, and I knew he was the cause of what, well, he wasn't the cause, but, you know, the situation was the cause of the pain that I carried for all this time, but I didn't know how to free myself from it.
Yeah, no.
And there's only so much up here you can tell yourself, but you will always feel it here, and it will stay there
'Cause it's in
until
your
you
body.
literally grieve that and release it and accept that it's there and face it. And do you know what? If you only had to do this program one time, it's 7 weeks of your life. Believe me when I say it's 7 weeks of grieving, and you will never have to feel that pain ever again. And I would take that over the 25 years that I have carried that pain with me any day of the week.
100%.
The emotional work that we do is invaluable, and people don't realise the importance of emotions, because as a society we're so disconnected from our body, we're not present with ourselves, we don't really know how we feel, and when we begin to tap into how we feel, it can be so overwhelming that most of us want to disconnect from it straight away, distract ourselves, focus on building something in the future, whether it's relationship, finances. We're so future projected and so future focused because how we feel right now is so uncomfortable. But the change doesn't come from what we get or what we create or how hard we work. The change comes from how we feel. And so to really change how we feel, we need to change on an emotional level. We need to feel good about ourselves. And then once that process begins to gain momentum, the better you feel, the better your life becomes, the more you can attract. And so if we really understand that the most important thing we can do for our lives is develop our emotional intelligence, but that requires us to be around more conscious people, because you don't grow in an emotional intelligence without conscious people that are there to elevate you, help you, guide you, facilitate you. Does that mean you need to be on a program? No, but you definitely need to be attuned to spiritual people, 100%. Spiritual communities. I mean, there's like a
people
big
that have done the work.
People that have done the work. People that and demonstrate in their lives. They have great relationships. They show it. It's like you have a lot of people that talk spirituality, but the real demonstration of somebody's living truth is what they're living in their life. Does it all match up? Are they living what they speak? Because that's always that's the guarantee between you knowing what they're saying and it being the actual truth is by how they're living their life.
100%.
And so when you see somebody that's got it all together and it's got every aspect of life working for them, and then to look and go, well, hold on, this person actually got it going on. So what they're saying, I can validate the truth of what they're saying by the life that they're living. And I feel like any person that's truly growing in consciousness is expanding in their lives. And, it's the demonstration of that ultimately that's where everybody wants to be. So how do I get there? Find more conscious people.
Exactly.
Your vibe attracts your tribe.
100%. Be that.
Your vibe attracts your tribe.
Be the vibe, and you will attract the tribe. I love that saying so much. And I feel like we are doing this. Like, since we've met, it's been a massive whirlwind. Like, and it was like the moment we met, we knew this was our. I keep forgetting what wrist it's on. But like we got bring it over here because we both knew this was our purpose, and this is the geometry. That it's like the geometrics of the divine masculine, divine feminine, the masculine feminine energies that are like the polarity that need to come together. And I knew it was the weirdest thing because we didn't really know the meaning, but.
We had no idea.
It was like, we know we need to do this, and we knew we needed this sign. And we've now, after we got the tattoo, it was like the why came after. It was just the weirdest thing, and it was like these downloads were coming to us of like, you're going to change the dynamics between man and woman. You're going back to the beginning to unravel, and you'll see on our first ever post that we had together on our page.
This time 3 years ago.
This time 3 years ago.
We was in our flat and we was like having all of these downloads, like, Adam and Eve, and we was like, if anybody knew what was going on with us right now, they'd think we was going insane. It was the most insane week of my life.
But even though, like, it wasn't even for everyone else. It was like, we're doing this work for each other. We need to unravel what is keeping man and woman so separate. We've both come from broken homes. We've both come from broken families. But I know we chose we chose our parents because we come in to break that, to understand, to unravel what is going on between man and woman. Why are they so separate? Why is there so independent women and men that are just so obsessed with business and
independent man, independent woman?
Yeah,
when it should be
like that.
They should
be as one.
Yeah,
but also like. One doesn't work without the other.
No,
like man,
because they are one.
Man
they are
wouldn't
one.
be in the world without woman.
Exactly.
No.
So we need to
start working together.
We need to bridge it, and
which means healing the pain of what each other has caused each other.
And one other thing as well is these stars.
Yeah.
They actually. If you look at the heart chakra, it's the heart chakra.
So if you go on to what are the meanings of
the heart chakra is the balancing. It's the balancing between the divine because it's in the middle.
Higher channels.
Everything above the
mental.
Everything above the heart chakra is divine.
Yeah.
Everything below the heart chakra is in the earth, and so the star represents the balancing between the higher and the low.
The higher realms, the lower realms.
And
the higher chakra.
And it's the balancing between masculine and feminine as well.
Mental. Like, we didn't know this at the time.
But I also feel like the benefit of like the program with you guys is that you get to benefit from that also, like the masculine and the feminine, because in the run up to Heart Chakra Week I had always essentially done my one-to-ones with you, although I'd worked with David in the group sessions and stuff, I'd never had to have my one-to-one with David. And I think at that time, it had to be him.
Had to be. That's why we always, if you never made the choice, or anyone that doesn't make the choice they feel comfortable with me or they feel comfortable with David, at some point on the programme, it's like, we're ready for the switch now. And then we're like, by the way, you've got us. Or naturally, people choose us.
But you know, I noticed that not everybody is comfortable with me. But then I have clients that I feel like they're only comfortable with me.
Yeah. But
So
then
it's
that's
like
where
a-
you put
it's
people in
I
their
felt
comfort.
really uncomfortable at the beginning of that session.
Some women I get on, and I do this thing where it's like, and I know a few of you women might have already experienced this, and I just give space, and I don't say anything, I don't do anything, and I just allow that person to be in that space with me, because it can really bring up so much. If you're a kind of person that always needs to fill the void, always needs to fill the space, needs to speak, because you feel so uncomfortable in being yourself, like I create that space, and women find it harder to be
Brings
in that
up their
space with me
awkwardness.
than what men do. But I've done that to Millie the other day on the couch when she come round and I said, Millie, she's going to give you 5 minutes just to be with me, just to purely be with me. And she was like, all right. And then we had 5 minutes. I went, well done. Because she was comfortable, and it shows the level of development in herself that she could be who she is without having to add anything, without having to be anything. That all of her is welcome.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing to offer somebody, but at the same time it can be so intimidating because it's so exposing.
I think for me it triggered me
It
just
triggers
in that moment
Yeah.
to sit with you and have that silence, because a lot of relationships that I've come from were where I was in push-pull dynamics and I never knew what person I was going to get in that moment. So it was like it was triggering all of this subconscious fear, again, stuff I was holding on to. But yeah, like crazy transformative week. Like I really feel like that is the moment where like I was broken open.
Yeah.
And then obviously we had throat chakra week that followed that, and it was all about speaking my truth, and I had so much just like come up and I was like, what is going on?
What are these weeks representing? Why does it come up in my
and I was
in
like,
my
why
body?
is it doing it in? And I was like, each week I'm aligned, and you were like, that is the point.
It is an
that is the
alignment.
point.
The 7 laws that David and I, and this was at the time when we first met, when we got these tattoos, another download to us was these 7 laws. I kept getting like 7 coming to me. David started writing out these 7 laws. And I already had a couple in my mind anyways, because I knew it was to do with the 7 chakras. So I already knew the 7 chakras, because I was literally like, when I learned about the chakra system, and it was just like, I went into delve deep mode of the chakras. I went into like learning every single, what everyone else had like learned, but then I also integrated my own lessons of what I've learned for each chakra as well, and like my own expression from that. And I developed that part every week you have to fill out the self-assessment, so each chakra has a self-assessment. But it was funny how mine was all about the chakras and the emotional blocks behind each chakra, and I knew it was the 7 laws, but like the 7 chakras. And then David come up
I
with
just
these,
woke up.
he
Just
woke
like,
up and just like, he goes,
I've got it.
It's the 7
got it.
activation codes. So he had the activation with it, which aligned with the 7 chakras, which obviously everyone knows, and how much deep knowledge I knew with the chakras and what they represented and the symptoms behind the blocks. And it's like they slotted together. And it was the only one, I only changed one, which was the heart chakra week. And I've forgotten what it was before, like it was something else, but we changed it to acceptance, didn't we?
It began with an A.
And that's the thing, they all began with A, so it's like the beginning. A represented like the beginning.
And,
right?
and the world was made in 7 days.
So it's
Like
the 7 activations.
It was the 7 chakras, and I was just like,
weird.
acknowledge.
So we had these laws from the beginning. Didn't know what the hell God wanted us to do with it. We didn't know. We were like, okay, we've got all of these 7 chakras, 7 activations, 7 activational codes. He had like 7 these signatures. But he knew in that time when he wrote that down, and I'm sure you would be able to find a page of when you channeled this, and he knew there were activations, and it would activate people when they went onto that week. And it just does it. Something
that is
happens.
what is madness, though, because I remember up until that point, like I was uncovering a lot, right?
Yeah.
And then we got to heart chakra week.
Well, let's
And
start
then
at the
I had-
beginning. Week 1. What was week 1?
Oh my goodness!
Acknowledgement.
The root
chakra, the law of acknowledgement. So that was the boom. That was like the foundation. This is like, right, this is the beginning. The root chakra is the first chakra. So it's first 1 week of acknowledgement, and everything to do with your root chakra. So what did you acknowledge? Like, how did you feel like the acknowledgement week? Like, what did that do for you?
There's been so much that I've been through, and I'm like, where the hell was I at the beginning? Because I now feel like a completely different person to the
You
person.
look like a
You look
different
like
person.
your energy. I look in your eyes. I'm like, they're shining.
I remember the first time I see you on that free masterclass, and you was just absolutely falling.
The heaviness.
And I was like,
I
wow,
felt
I was like that. I think in that moment you shifted a few other people, because you weren't the only. Once you started crying, I just looked around and everybody in the call was crying, and I was like, okay, this is powerful. And I've got to say, like, your journey, your transformation. I've seen some amazing stuff. Like, I've seen relationships heal. I've seen mother-father wounds heal. I've seen son-daughter wounds heal. Like, I've seen some amazing stuff. But what you went through in 7 weeks, the period of what you went through and how much you went through, I've gone through that, but I've gone through it in probably a year and a half.
Yeah, we did
in 7 weeks you went like that, and I was like, the fuck is going on? This is like, you're gonna
But this is so many people, and it's like, I wish we took only 7 weeks, but we did so much in 7 days. Like the 7 days to union, the podcast that we put up right at the beginning of our relationship, we spoke about the 7 days to union. And this, not that it all happened in 7 days, but the activation codes, that our bodies were energetically being activated and shifting and aligning. My mum and dad thought I was going crazy. If anyone else, I mean, we did do a podcast and we didn't care. We were like, we're speaking.
It was like, we've got to record this.
We've got to record this because this is like a magical pinnacle moment of our life, that our lives will never be the same again. Like, we had a mission, we knew we were gonna like help people, but we knew we needed to help ourselves, and that was like our priority. And getting these laws, we knew it was going to be a self-transformation. We come up with a home of self-transformation, and we knew we were going to create like a home. You think of a home, it's a house.
It does feel like a home. Like, you guys to me now feel like family, which is crazy, because I've known you like 8 weeks, but you know more about me. That you know everything that I know about myself, because you helped me uncover it.
Yeah.
So it's like that connection will always be there. But I think that's why also, like, now stepping out of the program and becoming like a host coach, like I'm so passionate about sharing this with other people, because I know how transformational it is. And it's not just, the home of self, it's not just a tagline, like it's called this because that is what you do. You transform. Like, so many people from me being on this program, and don't get me wrong, I think it was like week 3 and I was in work, and my boss and one of my co-workers was like, are you okay? Because I was just
awareness week.
the heaviness, like, there was weeks where it was tough going and you really feel it, and I was like, wow, like this is hard. But from then I started to transcend, and stuff got, as you release and you purge, things get lighter, and the weight gets lighter. And now at the end of the 7 weeks, so many people come to me and say, you look amazing, like, you've got this amazing energy about you, like, what have you been doing, and all of this stuff. And I think it's just like, I think the reason why I probably went through that process so quickly was because I'd done so much work prior to you guys, that I already had part of the awareness, but I also was just so ready to surrender, and I just so was ready for this transformation. And I think if you're kind of like sitting at home now and you're listening to us chatting and you're like, I am that person, like, I've got so far, but there's still something, like, I would just encourage everyone to just...
It's when you have that commitment. You committed, and you knew, and it's a commitment also when you're investing and you're going, I'm choosing to invest in myself. And it is, but either people find a way to make it work, to make it happen, or they find an excuse. But the excuse keeps you stuck. Excuses keep you not accountable for your healing and for what you need to do to progress as a person.
Well,
right?
when I came off that first masterclass, I just remember coming away, and I picked up the phone to my friend straight away, and I was crying, and I was like, this is what I'm meant to do. And she was like, what? And I was trying to explain to her what had just happened and how much had happened in like this hour and a half. And it was like mind blowing to me. And I was like, this is what I'm destined to do. And then you spoke about, the program, and I just felt like everything had aligned for me to stuff had happened in my life at the time that meant like I was searching for help.
Yeah.
A close friend of mine had been through the program with you guys and had shared about it, and then she put about the masterclass, and I was like talking to her about it, and I was like, oh, I've been on this journey, so like I was always looking for something else, and I thought I'm going to go on it because right now I'm heartbroken. I just had my heart broken for like billionth time in my life, and I just needed to heal.
Yeah.
And I came across it, and I was like, I came away and I was like, it was like I was called to it. It was like the universe directed me to it. And I think that's why when it came to it, I was like, nothing in my power will stop me from being on this program. If I have to beg, borrow, steal, I'm doing it because this is where I'm meant to be.
Yeah.
And it is the best investment that I've ever made in myself. I mean, it doesn't even feel like an investment, but it is. It's a massive one. But I feel like you can't even put a number on what you take away.
And I've said
from
this so
going
many
through it.
times. I've said this, like the work that we do, there is no value that can be put on it. There's absolutely no value. It's invaluable. It's actually invaluable.
But people will go out and buy a handbag for £500. People will go out and spend a meal, £200 on a meal. But like people to actually to think about, oh, that's like a fear of mine that I can't invest in myself. Like people have a block there. And I used to have that block, but that block is what kept me stuck where I'm at, buying holidays, spending thousands and thousands on things that didn't serve me in the long run, and kept me where I was. But yet you think, to have, it's not a massive investment. It's not like, there's other programs out there that are like 12, 15, 30 grand to get on a program, which are doing the same kind of work that we're doing, embodiment healing. But obviously this is like our niche with it and our laws and what we've integrated and embodied ourselves that we're teaching. But there's other people's programs that are so much more, but I just know like we're not even asking a lot for what you get from it.
No.
But there's still like that limit, like that people put themselves under of like, oh no, it's too much.
If you told
And it's
me
like-
at the beginning of this program, from where I started and how I felt to where I am now, if you said to me this program would be £1 million, where I am now, I would pay the £1 million.
So this is right. This is the thing, right?
I love that.
That's very beautiful. We appreciate that. But a lot of people don't actually know what we do, and this is actually something we've become very aware of recently. So, Katie, can you tell us what this program does? Like, what it's done for you? Like, what's been the biggest takeaway? What have you learnt more than anything out of it?
To feel the emotion, like to connect with self is so important, because I think society teaches us, right, that everything is mindset.
Yeah.
So like you spoke about before, Lauren, like as women we're taught when we're hurt by men, we put that wall up, we give it the whole like, Beyonce attitude, like nothing's gonna like get past us, and we kind of crack on and show that like, okay, well then I'll have a successful career, or I'll have a successful like business, or I'll have success in every other aspect of my life. And the mask goes on and we look like these powerhouses, and that attracts people to us. It's not attracting the right type of people, because what we actually do is carry the pain, like
we attract
internally.
other people with masks.
100%. And I think what this program has taught me is there's only so much you can be like, I'm going to do this, I'm fine, and tell yourself the story, right? And feed yourself the narrative. And I think eventually that narrative will catch up on you, because your body holds all of the answers. The inside of you holds everything you need to know. And all you need to do is, one, stop and understand that you hold the power within yourself. Two, be guided, because I think to do this type of work, you definitely need the guidance. I don't
For
think
someone
it's
who's done the work.
Yeah, and I don't think it's something you can go off and be like, oh, that sounds easy, I'm just going to go sit with my emotions. Like, it's not as simple as that. And I think this is why you need, you guys, the host coaches who are now on the program, like people who can go out and share this work and share this knowledge with people.
Navigate.
And just help people to connect, right? Because as humans, we're so good at switching off from the emotion and telling ourselves the story, which we honestly, you could believe. Oh my God, you believe it. Like, you convince yourself, like, no, I've not got, there might be people sitting at home being like, I don't need that, I've got no problems. I bet you give you 30 minutes with Lauren and David and they'd probably uncover a mountain of them.
Pandora's box.
Yeah, they'd open it. But
we tend to do that a lot to people.
What you guys do is you help people reconnect with themselves and with the energy that they hold inside themselves, and you allow people to stop and physically feel. It is madness, guys. Like, physically feel where you are holding this pain. Because what happens is this switches off and you've got no other option but to look at this. And it's mental, but for me, that is what I needed. I needed to feel it. I needed to grieve it. And when I say I grieve it, like Lauren and David will tell you, I have like been through a rebirth. Like, I have felt this pain and cried like someone had died. Like, it was painful. But feeling that, I have every faith that I will never have to feel that ever again. And what it has done is it's made me so connected to myself. Life is always going to throw curveballs at you. So we're not saying at the end of these 7 weeks you're completely transformed or, you know, your life's now going to be amazing. Life will throw curveballs at you. The universe will test you. What Lauren and David do is they give you the toolkit to be able to connect with what's going on in them moments so that you can process and feel. And you have to feel it. You can't not feel it. And that's what, as humans, we are scared to do. We are petrified to feel pain and feel the pain. And I think once you release the fear and you just surrender and you allow it, you free yourself.
And then what do you feel at the end of it?
Enlightenment. Enlightenment. Like,
and so much love, right? Behind the pain is love.
And not
a
only
connection.
Yeah.
Everything that you want. It's the other side of your pain.
But not only for myself, I now look at people differently.
Yeah.
When people come at me, you know, like people might get angry at you, or people might reflect, like you're in a traffic jam, people are beeping horns. I instantly have this weird connection with these people now where I see the depth. As opposed to the surface, or reacting
100%.
or mirroring their behaviour, because now I feel the source of where that person is coming from, which is mental as well. But also in doing that, I know now, like, what I have inside of me and what I hold inside of me, I will welcome in people, which I think is why I've now got this mad connection with you guys. I'm like, I'm going to come see you every weekend, and I'm going to be here because I just want to be around the good energy and the good people and, you know, people who get it. And I feel like I know moving forward now, I don't carry any of that, like, pain from, you know, failed relationships. I know that I will live a fulfilling life filled with love, and it will be the love that I'm destined to have. But it was the love that I never believed I would ever get.
Give it to yourself first.
Give it to yourself.
And I think you've just touched upon something that is what this whole, like, the human collective needs to wake up and realise, is to really build emotional connections and deep, intimate emotional connections with other people. We have to go through our healing. We have to go through our own pain, because when you can recognise the pain in yourself, you can recognise the pain in another person. And by healing the pain in yourself, you offer the other person an opportunity to show them their pain so they can heal their pain. And unfortunately, until you've really connected with your pain, you will never be able to see how much somebody else is truly hurting. You might have a moment of empathy or compassion towards somebody else that you're seeing suffer, but you'll never know how to actually coach somebody or take somebody through their own pain to really truly understand them in the depths of your being, until you have that connection with yourself, until you've truly connected with your pain. Only then can you be what the world needs, because the world needs more emotionally connected people. And I will say one thing as well, because there's, like, right now, just sit on your fingers, 11/11, there's definitely like a massive aligning, right? Because how old are you?
36.
And I'm 36 as well, and you was born
11th of November.
and I was born the 1st of November. And again, the numerology in my birthday is 11/11, the same numerology that you hold, 11/11. So you was born, what, 10 days after I was. But 11/11, if anybody's going for awakening, the first number you will see is 11/11. And that's your sign.
It's your sign. You need to do the work.
That's your sign of an awakening. And I remember I was like, 11/11, why do I keep seeing 11/11? And then I had my awakening, and then I looked at my birth date and the numerology, And it was like the 1st of 11th, 1986. I'm like, hold on, 11/11's in my birthday. I was born on All Saints Day. And then when me and you actually had, which is also the transition between when the earth's or the veil between the higher dimensions and the Halloween is the thinnest veil,
So
and
he was
it
born
crosses
the day after
over.
Halloween.
I was born the day after, when the veil is the thinnest between the spiritual and the physical.
Physical.
Wow.
Mental.
But 11/11 is a portal.
Yeah.
It's where higher dimensional souls and higher vibrational beings come through in that portal to come and do the work. And like, I feel like you're definitely like a part of that. You're part of our soul tribe. But I remember as well when
We're
me and you.
calling
Do
in
you
our
remember
soul
when we
tribe,
had
I love
our gene keys done?
Oh yeah.
And everything that I missed in my gene key,
I had.
you had.
And everything I missed, you had. It was
No.
weird. So
It was
we're
like-
a
even
But
the
it's
twinning.
woman-
that idea of the balance.
Even
again.
the woman looked at it and she was like, "No way, I've
Yours
got to
like
show you this. I've never seen
match.
this before." And she was like, "You two are a perfect match for each other."
It's so weird, and
That is
we felt that
crazy.
though, like, and that's why I believe like you're going to be calling in your counterpart. Like, how many people have we've met or come into pass with, or we've helped, and they've like met their match after. Like, it's like a weird, like, energetic, like, transition or something, like being in our energy. It's like we like offer that that compatible
But I feel
energy
like
to come into them as well. It's the weirdest thing.
the block isn't there anymore, is it? The block within myself isn't there. So now it's like my heart is open and I am open.
Yeah.
So it's only going to hopefully welcome in.
Someone else who's open too. I'm looking forward to who your person is. Maybe this
And,
next year we'll be sitting here as a 4.
And if
you
you're
know?
out there, heavily tattooed, beautiful looking, over 6 foot would be good.
We said like blondish beard, like blondish hair.
Hobo-esque, yeah.
DM. If that's
Get
you,
in the DMs.
if that's you, and you're ready to explore your own hell, then she's your woman.
Oh my god! But that, I mean, this is the way. Like, we were just talking about, like, you know, calling in our tribe, and you know, if you are resonating with, we want to meet you. Like, we literally want to meet you. If you're resonating with us and you feel like you're on a healing journey and you're wanting more connection, more support, more a community of like-minded souls, like, we're creating that right now.
Or if you're a part of the 144,000, because I know how deeply triggering that is. And I remember when I first see a video of the 144, and it was a woman, and she was just doing it, and it hit me so deep. Like, I knew I was a part of that. And there is like a mass activation that's going
that
on.
people are
on the
knowing they're
planet.
part of this and they need to be a part of the community. And it's like we're all being drawn to work together because we're also here to help each other. And this is why the amazing part of our community, not only after the 7-week program, if you're coming onto the coaches program, because we've got 2 parts to our program. We've got the self-transformation for those that just want to do it themselves and they don't, you know, they're already happy in their jobs and they're you know, they're just doing it for themselves and their relationships. But then obviously we've got the coaches part, which come and be part of the team. So you're paying a little bit more to, you know, become part of the team, but it's worth it in the end because you actually get ongoing support. Yeah. And this is what's so important. Like, you know, once you're a member, once you've done those 7 weeks with us and you've done those 7 activations, 7 laws, and you've gone through those 7 chakras and you've cleared, you have all of the tools to know how to move forward. But then it's all about practice and integration, right? And like you said, like when you're now going out into the world and, you know, like you said, the world will... things will happen, you know. It's not a perfect world out there, but it's how we navigate. And the fact that all of our coaches now, so part of our program every week, continuation is like a continuation of it. You get 7 weeks of continuation practice with us for the coaches to practice for another 7 weeks after the 7 weeks, which means that the coaches can practice coaching with each other. You set up practicing calls, so you do other calls outside of us running the Tuesday evenings. And you get to practice on each other and help each other navigate through other things that are coming up after. And then after that 7 weeks, you pay a price of just joining our community, which is just £33 a month, and you're a member with us, and you continue the Tuesday evenings, and you get to continue coaches, meet up with coaches, and it's like free healing. Like, you actually don't, once you pay for the actual to getting in, and the tools and knowing you've got the tools, you then have something to offer someone else. So you're doing like an energy exchange, which is just beautiful. And I'd love you to just talk about your call that you've done. Obviously you've done one now outside of David and I, like obviously you've been doing every Tuesday, but your first, you know, what we gave you the week after the program was like, right now, you guys, to qualify, I want you to, as a 3, you need to go out as a 3 on Zoom, and 1 to be the mediator to watch and to observe, 1 to be coached, and 1 to coach, and to be able to, just see how this energy flow goes between you. And obviously you went as a 3.
Yeah.
I'd love you to just describe like what happened in that without us.
I feel like naturally you just learn the art of connection. So you don't have to plan these things. I feel like to plan would probably mean that Zoom went completely different to how it actually went. And I feel like what you do is you go in with an open heart, and you go in with kind of like, you learn a lot of like patience and time to reflect and the openness and willingness to listen to other people, which is so important. And
So important.
so important. And that's another skill set that I've took away from this, because I was always ready to go blah, 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 over people, get my point. And now it's very much like, actually there's so much that can be learned from just stopping and opening yourself up and listening to someone, and you can learn from it. So on our call, there was 3 of us. One of us guys was really going through something at the time, so they kind of volunteered, to share, because they wanted some support and some coaching and some help processing what it was that they were going through. And then between me and one of the other coaches, we kind of stepped in and kind of tag team coached, I suppose. So we did a David and Lauren essentially, which was great, because again, it was the balance of the masculine and the feminine, right? Which I actually feel is a massive game changer, especially when you're dealing with other feminine energy, and it just gives perspective. But I think what was so beautiful is that we had moments in the call where all 3 of us just sat and allowed ourselves to feel the power of what it was we were doing in that moment. And you could really feel it, and you could really sense it. And there was a moment where we kind of, transcended into some childhood regression and kind of helped the person reconnect with their inner child. And it was such a beautiful moment to share that all of us were just in tears.
I love it.
And
you had all the tools. You had all the paperwork, everything that we've given you.
All the tools.
And we just left them to it.
But that's how you become even better.
Yeah.
That's how you understand other people's dynamics. So the more you coach, the better you'll get at your understanding.
You do not need years of education in the coaching game.
No,
you genuinely just need to, like you said, open your heart, trust your intuition, know that the session is going to go exactly how it's meant to go, and you just trust what you're guided to do.
A bit like Reiki, when you give Reiki.
Yeah, you've got the tools, you've got the questions that you need to come to, you've got the childhood and all of the regressions that you've practiced on yourself. And it's like, guys, it's not as hard as you think it is. Just go out there and do it. And that's why we've created powerful coaches in such a short amount of time.
But that's also the difference between what you guys do and what other coaches do.
Yeah.
Because with other coaches, when you go on these programs to become a coach, they're going to teach you the toolbox, and they're going to teach you, bits and bobs about how you can guide people down a path. This is where this is different.
Yeah.
Because it's not coaching of the mind, it's connection of the soul.
Love that.
And the energy, and you can't teach that. All you can learn is to, once you connect with yourself and you learn how to connect with yourself, which you do throughout the 7 weeks, you then have the ability to connect with others on a deeper scale. And when you hold space for that and for someone to share so openly, it's like you're just divinely guided, like it does it for you. And it's the most beautifulest thing. And I think for years now, since I was really young, I've really felt there was something in me where I was destined to help people. And I never knew what that was or how I was going to do it. But I was always a massive empath, majorly empathetic to people feeling pain, probably because I'd carried a lot of it, right? And I've always very openly spoke about my struggle with mental health and anxiety and the journey that I've been on the breakdown of relationships and how I've pulled myself out and I've always been very open, because I always felt like if I was to share my story, someone out there would feel less alone.
100%.
And I feel like since coming on this program, I just feel like I found my calling. So even if you're sitting at home right now and you're like, well, I don't think I've got many problems, but I feel like I'm the type of person who feels connected to people and in a way would like to help them. Again, another reason to get on one of the masterclass calls and kind of figure out and delve a bit deeper, because I think you'd be really surprised that if you're kind of spiritually connected and you're very in tune with yourself and the feelings of others, then I feel like you'd also get a lot out of going through.
100%.
And, you know, thank you for sharing. That's beautiful. But the business isn't just about like me and Lauren as coaches. The business, like what the Home of Self Train, we just host. We are the host. We are like the overseers. This was our job to come in and to bring this structure to earth, this like healing structure. But more importantly, it's that when we take people like you yourself, like you're now a coach, right, qualified coach, and everything you just said was absolutely spot on. That's exactly what we're here to do, to give that soul connection. But we wanted to create something that can have massive impact, absolute mass. Not you just come and have 7 weeks of us and you pass over, there's a little bit of support. We're talking about building something that can have huge impact on the planet. But to have huge impact, we need to create like that community where people go through their own process. They find that connection to themselves, like you just said. But then they're also ready to step in and to step up and to be like, I can see the power in this and I can see how I can be a part of actually changing other people's lives. And so it's not just me and Lauren being the head of it or anything like that. It's about creating this widespread, almost like forest fire that just takes... this isn't even something that me and you are doing consciously. This is something that's happening through us. And I just feel like developing coaches in the platform and then getting coaches to go out and help other people, and just how fast that can expand consciousness on this planet and how much healing... Like, and it's
having
deeply,
that support and family
and
connection
having
with each other.
and having deep connections, like true.
You're not left to do it on your own.
connections.
You're not left to do it on your own. None of our coaches are left to do it on their
They're
own.
never
You
alone.
come back, feedback. Right, how could we have done that better? What can we do here? What can we bring in there? We're building this huge community of coaches that can have that ripple effect. That's exactly what you said. The ripple effect.
The ripple effect.
And it's
How one person's
beautiful.
life changes the world.
It's
right?
like the 100
It's like the
monkey
domino.
effect.
Yeah.
It's like the domino, yeah. But
This
they
is
all
what
say
you
it's
said.
like 100 monkey effects or something. It's like until like a certain number is reached, then it just becomes like mass critical and it just goes everywhere.
So it's getting to
Yeah.
that point.
But it's
Let's
like
get 100
we can't
coaches.
do that on our own. We
No.
can't have that
We
kind
knew
of
it-
impact on our own.
No,
It needs.
we don't want to. Yeah.
We need an absolute team of people that are dedicated to it
this
and
work.
just growing
Yeah.
and growing and just letting it take on its own momentum, letting it become its own entity,
And
its
it's like
own
birthing
thing.
through us. It's like it birthed
It's
through
birthing
us.
through you
it's
as well.
Birthing
It's
through
like-
you. It's birthing through another of these the amount of coaches that we've that's come through our platform, and it's amazing how like we've learned along the way of like how important this is. It wasn't ever like our intention for this
Never our
direction. It
intention.
just went this way. It actually like just what's the word? Just authentically went that way. And it was like, whoa, okay, this is where it's going. Oh my God, I can see this vision now. Like, wow, this is what we need. Like, you know, we're left to do everything on our own and build this whole where we're not meant to do everything on our own. And I fully know that now. And it's like building like who you feel drawn to. And I know we're going to call in these people, and I know that they're going to listen to this and like resonate and be like, this is what I'm destined to do.
This is my calling.
Yeah,
This
because
is-
I don't want to do this on my own. I need help. I need guidance. And, you know, we are always, like we said, we are humble students in our own teachings because we're constantly learning and growing and embodying new vibrations and new frequencies and new teachings. And that we're then, it doesn't end here. What we learned on our last course, the last 7 weeks, we learned so much more that we've given people in this course, but we've got people who just genetically, we actually like authentically got the people from the last course to come on to the every bi-weekly coaching training because we're already learning more. It's like, whoa, if we keep sharing our growth within our community, everyone grows with us.
But it
It's just
goes
beautiful.
back right to Adam and Eve.
Yeah, you're right.
And like the beginning of
The beginning of
days,
time.
and how they were put here
Yeah.
to grow the world
To grow the world.
together.
Yeah, together.
Together.
Somewhere
And I feel
we
like-
went bush.
And
But-
it is like on this journey, right? Like I know, and we've had sessions, Lauren, and you've been like, wow, I took something away from that within me. And I feel like even the session the other night that we did on Zoom, the three of us, I went away from that and took something from it. And I know the other coach did as well, because we were talking about how powerful it was afterwards. And I feel like it's that idea of like, we have the ability within us to like make the change. And like we just need to like go in with our hearts open and do it.
So we're going to be running masterclasses once a month. We've said that, like, once a month. We're going to be running these free masterclasses so people can just come and experience what we're doing, what we're talking about, actually embodying it themselves and actually going through that process themselves in that hour and a half, which is what you came on and what you got a lot out of. And then it's obviously up to them then if they want to move on and actually do the program. But we're also offering in person. I mean, I know you're in Brighton, so I would love, this is like the next phase of what we're doing, is we're doing in person events, which is the Reiki breathwork, which is all a mixture of live coaching and Reiki breathwork and just connecting to our emotions, connecting to our feelings, being in that moment within our body. So those are 3-hour workshops that we're hosting right now at our home in Bromley in Keston. But then I would love it if obviously you know, create communities in Brighton, because Brighton's such an amazing, that you can hold space and do those Reiki breathworks in Brighton as well. And for our coaches, like, we've got one up in Cumbria. Is Richard in Cumbria, or is it somewhere up north?
Yeah, it's somewhere like that.
Yeah, and so like he'll be like hosting it up there, and we just want to scatter everywhere. So, you know, and to be able, and we're making it accessible to everyone, and that's what I wanted. I wanted packages that will suit everyone. So no matter your financial need, we can place you somewhere, and there's somewhere you can be. You know, whether it be the free masterclass, just turning up once a month. You know how much can happen in that one session.
So much.
Yeah. Or you do the once a month masterclass and come for an in-person 3-hour event monthly. That's 2 sessions a month you're getting. If that's what you want, we're making it accessible for everyone. There's no excuse. It's just whether or not you want to just join that journey. And if you want to go all the way and become part of our team, you, like I said, you do the program and then you come onto the community after. Or if you just want that weekly help, if you want that weekly check-in, accountability, lessons, integrations, healing, the weekly group sessions that we do on Zoom, it's £33 a month. £33 a month.
It's nothing. It's absolutely
and you get to be part
nothing.
of our family. And this is what we wanted. And we want this to reach so many healing souls that are just out there that are finding it hard to navigate this on their own. And they know they need help and guidance. There's something for everyone at the Home of Self-Transformation. So,
which brings me on to one other point, because we're probably going
to
wrap this up in a minute. And a lot of people, like, and I had this as well, I knew vibrationally where I wanted to be, but I didn't know how to get there. And it can be so overwhelming and confusing. What do I do? What do I do? The thing that you do is you take the very first immediate step that is in front of you. And then it's just step after step after step. So if you feel inclined, come along to a free masterclass, do it. If you feel inclined to come along to a 3-hour workshop, do it. Like, take that first step, because it's that huge first step that leads you in a new direction. And then it's just step after step. And now, like, we're holding now energetically like a huge vision. But 2.5 years ago, it was just a moment of like, it was a seed. But we didn't know what it was going to be. We didn't know what that seed was going to turn into. Now we're starting to see how big this is going to be. But we didn't know it. We just took the steps and moved towards the right direction.
Followed where we were guided to. But thank you so much.
Thank you, Katie. That was very beautiful. That felt very good as well. It felt very like a very powerful thing, transmission that took place.
The energy.
The energy feels good. And congratulations on everything you've been through. You've been one hell of a student, and I'm sure you're going to be one hell of a coach.
And if you want to work with Katie,
she is now available on our host platform, and she is definitely worth having sessions with, 100%.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for everything.
You're welcome.